nothing quite so pretty as the hills that shouldn't be. But climb up to the high...
The Cypress Hills Interprovincial Park is a popular destination for tourists throughout the summer months, with over 350,000 visitors each year. Guests from around the world come to the park to be one with nature and enjoy the many amenities from camping, hiking trails, and more.
Quite so pretty as the hills that shouldn't be. There's nothing quite so pretty as the hills that shouldn't be.
The park was established in 1931 and is nestled in the heart of the Cypress Hills with an elevation of 1,392 meters, similar to that of Banff, offering a spectacular view of the surrounding landscape as far as the eye can see. The history of the Cypress Hills Interprovincial Park is unique in the fact that it is located in ranching country, and that it is the only interprovincial park in Canada, spanning the Saskatchewan and Alberta borders. Development of the park spans many years, from a dense forest to the busy tourism destination of present day. Ranching was an important sector for the area after the Canadian Pacific Railway arrived in Maple Creek in 1883, and in the coming years attracted more people to the area seeking employment and a life out west, as was the case for Glenn Bowles' grandfather, who moved to the Cypress Hills in 1892 to help build the railway, buy land, and start a family. A tradition which has now spanned several generations, as Glenn and his wife still reside on this parcel of land near the entrance to the park. Glenn has a first-hand account of the development of the park. From the age of 15, he had several jobs working as a surveyor to help and clear the land for the development of cabins within the pristine forest of the Cypress Hills. A process which occurred in the early 1930s, when the Saskatchewan government created jobs through the development of the provincial park, after the federal government turned over the forestry resource rights of the Cypress Hills to the provinces of Saskatchewan and Alberta.
Everybody was broke, and getting a job here, as little as the wages were, was a job. And they built some of the things that they needed. Nothing much, just cutting some of the trees and building the dam on the present lake and things like that.
And as the landscape was cleared, cabins were soon constructed by those who wanted to enjoy the breathtaking surroundings, along with several other buildings, some of which are still intact today.
The farthest one south is one of the first ones. Booker from Swift Current had that. There was a local guy that built log cabins. He did 6 or 7 in that early 30s period. And the cafe was built in that period, quite a large log cabin cafe, which burned down in the 40s. And they brought an army building from Maple Creek where the army camp was. Everything was being sold, and they hauled a big building out to replace the cafe.
While those who could afford to build their own cabin enjoyed their home away from home throughout the summer months, others enjoyed an afternoon picnic with family and friends. Through the 1940s, as more visitors from across the Southwest came to the park, other amenities developed, including the golf course, swimming pool, and the dance hall, which was a drawing card on the weekends.
It was really popular. People came from everywhere. It was a good dance hall and a good place to come and park. There wasn't a lot of lights around to light everything up. In the earlier years, they only had a power plant that supplied power from I think it was 8 o'clock till 11 at night, and only to the buildings in the center of the park. So it was a fairly private place.
A facility which was used through the years for dances, weddings, and other events until its untimely demise in the early 2000s.
They forgot to shovel the roof off one winter, and it caved the roof in. It was a heavy snow winter, real heavy. So that was the end of that.
Through the 1950s, more development occurred at the park with the addition of the golf course, park office, a gas station, and other amenities in the coming years. High-profile guests also made their way to the park, including Prime Minister John Diefenbaker and Saskatchewan Premier Woodrow Lloyd. New opportunities for entrepreneurs were also developed in the coming years. In 1979, Wes Eng's father moved from Shaunavon to Cypress for the summer season to lease the cafeteria, a business he ran until 1987. In 1989, Cypress Hills Interprovincial Park was unveiled as the first and only interprovincial park in Canada, bringing even more opportunity for businesses.
The park was trying to establish private enterprise in all the parks. I think it was just basically providing a mainstay of fixed roof accommodations in the park because there wasn't anything available at that time. He was thinking that it was a good opportunity for the family. There was lots of conversation. It was a big step. It was a huge investment. Dad, being the risk taker he is, he said, we're going to go ahead with it. And now we sit here still 30 years later.
At that time, the Engs offered 32 rooms, a 40-seat restaurant, leased the cabins and townhouses throughout the summer season, and in 1997 made the decision to expand the operation.
At that point, the park system itself promised us a ski hill to establish us as a four-seasons resort. 1997, when we did our addition, they actually said we will keep the ski hill open, and it closed a year later. And that really, operationally, it really hurt us, and our investment was not the return we're thinking of getting.
Despite those trying times in the late 1990s, more businesses began to set up shop at the park, and Wes Eng forged forward, still seeing an opportunity with the rebranding of his business.
We went from Cypress Park Resort Inn to the resort at Cypress Hills, and basically our whole philosophy is trying to provide a 3.5-star service at a 2-star rate.
Now, with 25 full-time employees year-round and an additional 40 employees throughout the summer season, the resort at Cypress Hills is an attraction not only for tourists, but also those seeking a life adventure. Such is the case with Kim Zeman, who moved to Cypress from Melbourne, Australia. For over 2 years now, she's worked at the resort as the groups and events coordinator, and is experiencing the attraction of the Cypress Hills through the tourists she meets on a regular basis, and through her own eyes as well.
It's such a unique place that you really don't grasp the concept of the actual Cypress Hills itself until you literally drive through the park entry gates. You see it from the highway, but it doesn't really give you the sense of what it does until you're actually in the park. And there's just this sense of overwhelming relaxation when you drive in here, and the trees and the quietness of the park itself, and it's remarkable, it really is.
Along with the peace and tranquility of the outdoors, Cypress Hills Interprovincial Park has also been the site of a long-standing summer music festival, Hootenanny in the Hills, a concept which came to light through the work of Glenn Bowles and his family on his property.
Well, that was started by a local fella in Maple Creek. He'd have overnight or 2-day party out by a lake just north of Maple Creek. Then he got the idea that we should have it out here, and I agreed with him, and him and I and several others started building enough buildings and getting showers and this and that. And every year it got more people, and getting settled in the first year, one thing you didn't think about was enough security. The first 2 years there was 3 of us wandered around, kept things under control. Then from then on, we went to having riders.
The music festival was held every August long weekend from 1984 to 1994, showcasing Canadian and American recording artists.
Tillis, Johnner Brothers, the guys that were coming in, the musicians and their group, would all come in a group, and everybody could see them and cheer. And Charlie decided he wanted to ride in, so he rode in. And then him and I went riding after that and got our picture taken. It was getting up to the 5,000 and 6,000, and that was starting to stress the foods places and the bar and the shower and you name it.
And with additional highlights to the park in recent years, such as the new observatory for those interested in stargazing amidst the dark sky preserve, to unique outings for thrill seekers with ziplining through the forest, tourists are visiting the park from near and far.
We are seeing a lot of people coming up from the States. We have people coming from Ontario, we have people coming from BC, and they come from Vancouver. We get people from Canada wide.
A destination which tourists flock to year after year, and many are proud to call home, while feeling a sense of pride in knowing they've been part of its history.
Well, it makes you look at it when you go to drive by to see what it's changed, which is very little. More cutting, but it makes you remember that you did it.
The Cypress Hills Interprovincial Park, one of the many jewels of Southwest Saskatchewan, offering opportunity for entrepreneurs and a memorable experience for visitors.
There's nothing quite so pretty as the hills that shouldn't be. Climb up to the highest hill and look to the horizon. Watch the blood-red sunset o'er the full moon when it's rising. Gaze in all directions as far as you can see. There's nothing quite so pretty as the hills that shouldn't be. There's nothing quite so pretty as the hills that should